Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining SpringPath, the podcast. We have a great show lined up, lots to talk about, so let's get after it. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining this episode of SpringPath, the podcast. Today, we're going to learn about Clarkson University, and our special guest joining us from Clarkson is Adam Jaquish. Adam, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm glad to be on the podcast finally.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you're here too. I know we had the college fair recently, and I was hoping to get you on sooner, but I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you invited us to the college fair. It was a great one.
Yeah. So let's start off with you, because you and we've known each other for a little while now, and curiously, how does someone go from assistant basketball coach in college, shifting over to the admissions team to in their career to go find students?
Yeah, so I originally started as assistant men's basketball coach at SUNY Plattsburgh. And then kind of in the second semester, I switched over and started helping admissions, as they figured I was out on the road kind of recruiting players and might as well try to hit some fairs as well. And then I kind of just started falling in love with the admissions process and kind of just reaching out to more than just players to help them about college. I went to a really small high school growing up, and there was not a lot of options for individuals that kind of reached out and had college fairs. And to see the excitement about students come when they learn about colleges or they learn about something they didn't know about a college they were really interested, kind of just sparked my attention. And I really started to enjoy admissions kind of over just recruiting players.
No, that's cool. And I guess I'm sure at some point someone had to say to you, not every student that you bring in has to be 6'8", right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was a little adjustment.
Yeah, just a little bit.
All right, cool. So let's talk about the location of the school, because there's some uniqueness about where you're based out of in upstate New York, but really you're very close to Canada and some really cool cities there. So why don't you kind of tell us about the location, what the campus life is like there?
Yeah, so we're located in Potsdam, New York, which is about 30 minutes from the Canadian border. There's a bridge that can bring you to Ottawa in about an hour and a half. We're also located about an hour and a half from Montreal.
Yeah, that's kind of
closest. Cool. The closest kind of true big city in New York is about Syracuse. That's about 2.5 hours west of our campus. And then we do sit about 4 hours to 5 hours away from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah. So you're up north. It does get cold, and you're in kind of a rural setting, but you've been there a while. So what was it about the academic buildings? Like you have.
Yep. So it does get cold. Everyone hears that we are kind of pretty far up there. But we have these Skylight tunnels that connect all of our academic buildings. So once you brave the cold and you get into one academic building, you won't really have to go outside again. You can cross over from like our science building to our business building to our student center without ever having to go outside.
That's pretty cool. So I would highly recommend that people do a campus tour and check that out. All right. So let's talk a little bit about I've decided that I've come up for a tour. I love the Skylight tunnels. This is exactly where I want to be. Now, let's talk about preparation for getting ready for hitting day one academics, because you have a couple of unique programs and different ways that you do surveys and things. Can you share more about that?
Yeah. So especially for students who are kind of shy about going to campus for the first time, we do offer a couple springboarding options for calculus, business, and then computer science. Those are
sure.
A little specific, but that kind of, you can come to campus about 9 days before all the other students, and you'll get some mentorship with faculty as well as some first year program advisors. And then you'll be taking about 3 hours of courses in the morning and then 1 hour in the afternoon. And that basically is just giving you a jump start, getting you acclimated to the college setting a little more. And then kind of some online courses, especially for those interested in our engineering programs. We like to send out a math readiness survey. And basically that's just kind of getting a understanding of what level math you were taking in high school. Most of our students who do have any sort of like pre-calc, calculus background don't have any trouble with the survey. We just ask our students to get a 65 or higher on it. And if by the off chance they don't get a 65, they just will kind of go through a 2-week math boot camp, really. And that's all online as well. So they're not getting forced to come to campus early if they don't get a 65. It's just
Sure.
in engineering, a lot of our courses are pretty math heavy. We
Yeah.
like to kind of get their general understanding. If they're a little lower than what we think our Calc 1 class would be, that math readiness survey kind of starts them off on the right foot.
Yeah, no. So I think the key there is all students all come from different high schools and different backgrounds, so they're going to have different levels. But to your point, math is a big piece of engineering. So that's something, if they're not quite there yet, you want to gauge that and then help them. And that's where these online boot camps come in, right?
Yeah, and it's all about the student success. We like to see students come on campus and thrive early versus, them struggling and then start to doubt if this was the right fit.
Right.
So we have advisors that are within their major. All of their advisors are going to have PhDs or masters at least in the program that they are studying. And then if they are interested in a pre-health track, our students will have an advisor in their major, but as well as that advisor, they'll also have a pre-health track advisor.
Sure. And in at your school, I mean, the faculty to student ratio, I think is 11-1, you were saying?
Yep. So it's 11-1. Overall, we have about 3,300 undergrads on campus. So there's definitely a lot of professor time if you need it. You're going to have the same professor for multiple classes, so you get to build a good rapport with each professor. And then that kind of leads us into these professors developing, they want to see these students succeed because they have known them personally for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, when you have the professors, but then you also have a career services, international assistance. So basically it's a tight knit group for the students to find success.
Yeah. Yep. And then with the Career Center, that kind of helps students if they're interested in internships, co-ops. Then our International Center helps our students if they're interested in study abroad. And then on top of kind of all the other advisors we give our students, we also have the Office of University Advising that they are more than welcome to go in there. And we have multiple staff members in there that are willing to help them not only with what classes they need, but kind of think about where they want to go with their career.
Yes. And you have a couple of unique things that I want to get to in a second about, professional services or professional experience. But before we get there, I just want to ask, all right, so you're helping students get acclimated academically so that when they show up day one, they don't feel like they're overwhelmed, they're behind from an academic standpoint for the most part, because you have all these programs to get them ready. But now comes the real test for all students. And, we've been through it, going away from home, landing on campus, not knowing anyone. How do you help kids acclimate when the real stress hits on that day?
So all of our first year housing, we put them in LLCs, which are living learning communities. And then those are basically we like to theme each floor of the dormitory. And then that can be for example, we'll do engineering floors. We'll have some that are sports based, some that are kind of based around our outing club, which is, if you're interested in hiking the Adirondacks, skiing. And what this does is our RAs will put on kind of some events on the weekends or some during the week. This way they're like icebreakers. And that way we're getting the students not only on the floor acclimated, but they're also in something that they're interested in. It's not just throwing them into an event saying, oh, this is an icebreaker, but it's something they've never really had an interest in doing. So we like to give them the option to pick kind of what theme floor they would like to be involved in for their first year.
Yeah. So with that, you already know what their interests are based on the theme, and then you're kind of getting them to connect based on that. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Yep. And then we're kind of putting them on a path of, finding somebody that's like-minded, who's interested in the same things early. It makes it a little easier just to, you're being around like-minded students. You're already involved in an outing of sorts that you are interested in and that, other students around you are also interested in.
Yeah. And what's also what goes beyond it at your school, what's a little unique about your school is you have clubs activities, and you were talking about outdoors. these themes where kids can find other, I say kids, but students can find other students of like-minded interests. But beyond that, let's start talking about science and research and labs, because with your programs, these students in their first year can start getting into research labs, and they can, which typically doesn't happen in year one, but that's almost like its own club where they get started pretty early.
Yeah, yep. So because we are kind of like a small research university, we have state-of-the-art labs. A lot of our professors will talk about what research they're doing in their class, and a lot of students will have the opportunity to be involved in a research of something that their professor has kind of spoke about that they're interested in. Even if they're not, we've had professors help students who are interested in maybe another professor's work connect with that said professor. It's a really close-knit campus, so all of our professors have no problem hooking up a student with another professor if they are interested in that said research. As well as we do most of our science labs and all of our research labs are on our main campus, and we only have a few in our downtown campus, which are kind of more geared towards our pre-health track students. And those are typically like our cadaver labs, where we do let our pre-health track undergrad students kind of shadow and take a couple courses with the cadaver labs as undergrads.
That's kind of exciting. I mean, not for me. That's not my cup of tea. But if you are interested in that and that's your path, because you usually don't get that kind of experience until you get into the graduate programs of other universities.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we hang our hat on, is giving students at the undergrad level all of these research opportunities, as well as in our engineering field, we have about 13 speed teams, which students have the ability to make all-electric truck, diesel snowmobiles, race their own Baja cars. So just having all this hands-on experience at the undergraduate level is what we try to strive for.
Yeah, and that's actually a nice segue there, because one of the requirements to graduate is 100% of the students to graduate have to have professional experience, right?
Yep. So we ask for students to satisfy that professional experience either through research with a professor, an internship, which typically students will do over the summer with a company, or co-ops where students will take a semester off from classes, work for a company. It's a little longer than a semester. Typically, it's about 3 to 4 weeks longer. Or then there's study abroad. And those are kind of our four main ways that students can satisfy that professional experience. We just like to get our students kind of thinking about their career early on, like first, maybe not so much first semester, but by second semester, first year, definitely by sophomore year, you're going to be meeting with some advisors and maybe the career center to kind of start thinking about when you want to start taking your internship and with what career path you want.
And because one of the other statistics that you and I were talking about specific to Clarkson is, you have 80% of your faculty is active, right?
Yep. So 80% of our faculty is currently involved in research of their own. And they do that because a lot of our students get involved in that research and they're able to kind of continue it while teaching classes. And they really do look for students to help them in that research. For example, in our biomolecular science major, we'll actually have a seminar where professors will kind of go in and talk about what research they're doing to give students kind of an idea of what is out there for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, for everyone listening or watching, if you're not getting the picture at this point, this is really hands-on. You have teachers and faculty who have PhDs and masters. They're involved in research. Your students are coming in, talking to them, and maybe they find an interest in a different research program or lab that's happening, and they make that connection. It just seems like it's tight knit. It's a good network, and they learn a lot with hands-on.
Yeah, and yep, to kind of go off of hands-on, we also have two kind of unique semester options for students, kind of to relate with the research. We have something called the Trudeau semester, where students can kind of, who mostly are interested in like pre-health, biomedical science, they can take a semester and kind of do a hands-on approach at the Trudeau Institute, which is in Saranac Lake. And they're kind of renowned for all of their biomolecular science and biology research.
That's pretty cool. And I think you had another one too that I read about, the Adirondack one.
Yep. And that's more so geared towards students who are interested in kind of like environmental sustainability, environmental engineering. And that's also in the heart of the Adirondacks. They will kind of reside at Paul Smith's College, which is right near Saranac Lake. And they'll kind of just do a 15 credit semester off campus study. And they'll study anything from environmental science, policy, and kind of the human history of the Adirondacks. And that's just all while you're immersed right in the heart of the Adirondacks for students who kind of want to break the monotony of sitting in a lecture hall or kind of being on campus.
Sure.
And this is usually in the fall, again, because we are pretty far up north country. Yeah. So that is all done during the fall semester when you can get a little bit of that warm weather still.
Yes. Yeah, I think I would want it to be in the fall or summer, being in the Adirondacks like that, being up north. So beyond that, there was one other thing that I was reading about, and that was the School of Business as well. I think you had something unique in and around international studies.
Yeah, yep. So all of our students who kind of fall under that umbrella of our School of Business, we require them to do an international experience, which they can kind of hit with a study abroad, or they can do a J term, which is about a half a semester abroad. And we have over 55 universities in 29 different countries.
Wow.
We have an international center on campus that helps our students connect with a university that's not only going to continue them on their major and check off all the boxes of the courses they were going to need that semester, but also in an area that these students are very interested in going.
That's really cool. I didn't realize there were so many schools in the program.
Yep. So we kind of have built that throughout the years of just the same way, kind of how we built our rapport with all these companies with internships and co-ops. And with that, we also have 2 huge career fairs I wanted to touch base on, where we have one in the fall and one in the spring, where all of these companies will come. And it's quite often that they ask us as a campus, oh, do you have any students who are looking for an internship this spring, or do you have any students who are looking for an internship this summer? And we do have students that will come back from the summer internship going into their senior year and get job offers day one of their senior year from those internships.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, just based on what we talked about, I mean, the whole hands-on labs, I mean, you're helping students understand that, yes, this is college, you're here to get your education, but your education leads right into the professional world. So you get them right on that track right in the first semester, just thinking about it and aligning with the end goal.
Yeah, and all these kind of put together at the end of the day is what really helps us get to that 97% university placement rate in their chosen career path, as well as students are kind of able to almost negotiate their first contract, where students were averaging about $67,000 their first salary out of college.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's campus wide. And then if it's engineering, it's a little closer to $70,000 their first year.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, based on everything we talked about, that you're really setting them up for success.
Yeah, and that's kind of all due to part with the smaller size, but also all of the hands-on activities and coursework that we kind of put out there for our students. So it's all kind of, we give them the opportunities. It's all kind of about which students reach out and take all of the opportunities that are kind of awarded to them.
Allotted to them. Yep, 100%. So Adam, I was checking out your website previously, and do you have early decision versus early action? Can you talk about that?
Yep. So we offer early decision, and the deadline for that is December 1st. The difference between early decision and early action is when you apply early decision, you're basically saying Clarkson's my number one school. If I get accepted, I'm going to come. With that, we give about a $2,000 scholarship, early decision scholarship. And then if you still aren't sure, where you're like, oh, I still have a couple other colleges I'm waiting to hear back from, you would just go ahead and apply regular decision, which is January 15th.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. So you get money for signing up early.
Yep.
Very cool. So Adam, this has been extremely informative. I know we covered a lot, and I appreciate your time today and sharing everything. If a student wanted to learn more about Clarkson, where would you want them to go online?
Yeah, so our main website, you can just go on clarkson.edu, and that pulls up our main Clarkson webpage. If you have any questions and you want to contact me, you can reach me at Jaquish, which is AJAQUISH @clarkson.edu, and that would be my Gmail.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll put that in the description below and the link below for people to go find more information. And Adam, thank you very much. This has been, like I said, extremely informative. I know we covered a lot, and I'm hopefully it was helpful for our viewers and listeners. And just to wrap things up, at any point, you can always go to springpath.net to see if Clarkson is a match for you. Adam, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
You.